Unnoticed by the waking city, you rise with an H tucked beneath quiet breaths, wondering if anyone senses the weight you shoulder. The pale horizon blushes, offering its embrace to hearts that tremble, and invites you to loosen your guarded soul. In this stillness, you can release yesterday's unspoken sorrows and listen for the gentle whisper that mends what cracked in the night. Dawn's first rays sketch fresh hope across the sky, promising a new walk lit by mercy. Psalm 34:1 The nearness of God to the brokenhearted is not a distant promise. It is a present reality that leans close, attentive to every sigh. What unvoiced burden would you entrust to his open hands? Which longing do you dare to name beneath this unfolding light? Now, as your heart grows still, we step into the journey of healing that awaits. You stand at the threshold of morning, heartbeat drumming against ribs like muted thunder, a private storm only heaven knows. Yesterday's meetings, casual greetings, and forced smiles never hinted at the tears that pressed behind your eyes, nor at the stories you replayed in secret. You have become fluent in masking, slipping on composure as easily as a garment. Yet beneath the surface your spirit whispers, "How long must I carry this alone?" The ache feels ancient, stitched into memory, echoing through corridors where certain names or dates still send echoes ricocheting off the walls of your mind. But pause, feel the air shift as dawn spreads soft amber across your room. That glow is no ordinary light, it is invitation. You are not required to tidy up grief before presenting it to the one who spun galaxies. Instead, imagine opening the locked chest of your soul, letting shattered fragments spill into hands wide enough to cradle worlds, intimate enough to hold tears. Each breath you take can be a confession. This hurts, and I cannot mend it myself. Such honesty is a holy offering, a cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7 Divine care does not hover at arm's length, it settles beside you. Attentive and tender, receiving what you surrender without judgment. Now picture the silent grief as a shadowed figure seated beside you. Instead of turning away, you face it with Jesus nearby, his presence like sunrise warming chilled skin. He does not rush you. He does not minimize pain with trite words. He simply remains a steadfast friend who speaks in quiet currents beneath the noise. I know. In that knowing, scales fall from your shoulders. The burden may still be heavy, but it is no longer solitary. You recall moments when you tried to voice sorrow and were met with hurried advice or awkward silence. Those memories taught you to retreat, to lock feelings behind polite nods. Yet here, in this sacred morning hush, you are free to let lament become prayer. You can name the date the diagnosis arrived, the phone call that ended dreams, the chair left empty at the dinner table. Speak them aloud if you wish. Write them in a journal. Whisper them into your cupped hands. Each expression is a step from isolation toward communion. As you breathe, sense the spirit drawing near like gentle tide, carrying remnants of pain toward a bright horizon. Perhaps nothing visible changes immediately. Bills remain unpaid, relationships unrepaired, tombstones still stand. Yet within, tectonic plates shift. Courage roots where dread once reigned. Compassion blooms for others who wear similar masks. You start to believe that hidden ache can become holy ground where new life finds purchase. So linger here, Let quiet fill the spaces that frantic thought once occupied. Inhale grace deeper than yesterday's fear. Exhale the pressure to pretend. Your tears, whether flowing or held back, are not weakness, but water for seeds of resilience. The Father sees, collects, and redeems every drop. Salvation history is full of wounded hearts becoming wells of comfort. Yours is no exception. When the clock urges you toward daily tasks, carry this truth: you have been heard. The one who counts every strand of hair has counted every quiver of your heart. Step forward, knowing you walk shadowed yet accompanied, incomplete yet beloved. This is the first movement toward wholeness, and heaven celebrates your brave surrender. You settle deeper into morning hush, sensing unseen arms unfurl around your weary frame like dawn mist wrapping mountains. Yesterday's tension still lingers in shoulders and jaw, yet something calm presses close, inviting muscles to soften. It feels almost startling to discover a sanctuary that travels with you, not confined to chapels or special days. Here, ordinary space becomes holy because love has stepped in and locked the door against every accusing echo. In this embrace, you no longer perform. You simply breathe as naturally as roots drink rain. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. Psalm 9:1-4. Divine shelter is more than concept. It is a living canopy that stoops low, shielding fragile hope from relentless storm. You picture yourself beneath the shadow of vast wings, feathered with mercy older than time, and realize no secret grief can outsize the circumference of that span. The Father curves his presence over you the way sky enfolds ocean, boundless, reflective, patient. Shame, regret, and what is may still clamor, but their voices fade against the hush of beating heart that swears, "You are mine." You let that rhythm set tempo for breathing, steady inhale of belonging, slow exhale of fear. Perhaps friends once promised to stay yet drifted when words ran out. Perhaps conversations about pain morphed into polite silence. Here, faithfulness does not fatigue. Love leans closer when sighs grow faint, attentive to micro expressions even you overlook. Imagine resting your head against the chest of Christ, hearing tides of his compassion wash in and out. Each surge whispers acceptance. Each retreat leaves peace glistening on shorelines within. The eternal God is your dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. Deuteronomy 33:2-7. Everlasting means arms never tire, never loosen grip, never misjudge the weight of your story. In that hold, you dare to unclench fists that have gripped disappointment. You release names, memories, unanswered prayers, letting them slide like autumn leaves onto waters of grace. They drift, still recognizable yet surrendered to currents wiser than your own. You feel lighter, not because loss vanished, but because love now carries both burden and bearer. Listen, morning sparrows rehearse a melody older than sorrow, and wind choreographs treetops into quiet applause. Creation seems to conspire with heaven, reminding you that existence is not merely endurance, but belovedness. You trace patterns of light draped across walls, seeing them as threads weaving a blanket of assurance. If innocence once felt stolen, tender presence begins stitching patches of color where fabric tore. You may wonder, what if pain resurfaces? Embrace does not guarantee absence of trial, it guarantees company within it. When afternoon crowds your mind with tasks and triggers, recall this cradle of dawn. Whisper, I remain held. The phrase becomes a key carried in pocket, unlocking stillness wherever you stand. In queues, traffic, hospital corridors, conference calls, notice how heart rate slows when trust warms blood. Even posture shifts, shoulders drop, spine lengthens, gaze lifts. Body joins soul in confession safe. From this anchored place, compassion turns outward. You begin seeing silent grief in someone else's eyes and feel stirred, not overwhelmed, because reservoir within overflows. You can lend presence without depleting, for you draw from well that never empties. Let gratitude rise like gentle tide, thank love for constancy, for listening to unspoken sentences, for guarding fragile beginnings of hope. You might murmur thanksgiving aloud, or jot a line in journal. Either way, gratitude seals memory of embrace, making it easier to revisit when night falls again. As sunlight fully breaks, you stand, still wrapped in invisible cloak. Tasks call, yet they no longer dictate worth. You move as one shielded, cherished, commissioned to walk through crowds, carrying hush of sanctuary within. The world may not notice, but heaven smiles, knowing grief has found room to breathe and live toward healing. You feel the mourning deepen, like a river swelling after hidden springs awaken, inviting you to let stored waters surge. For years you have damned emotions behind strong walls, fearing they might erode reputation, family harmony, or fragile self-control. Yet unspoken sorrow has begun seeping through hairline cracks. Headaches, restless nights, sudden irritability. Now sunlight flickers across those internal stones, revealing moss of unmet grief. This is the hour to open the sluice, to allow truth to move as freely as birds crossing an unguarded sky. You begin by naming one memory aloud, voice trembling yet brave. Words fall into air and land softly, as if the room itself nods in understanding. Tears follow, neither dramatic nor restrained. Just water returning to its rightful course. You sense no divine scolding, only steady acceptance. Like warm sand receiving footprints. In that safe atmosphere, you continue unfinished sentences, forgotten dreams. Anger you once sanitized for politeness. Each confession slides from grip, unclenching muscles you never noticed were clenched. A trust in Him at all times, pour out your hearts before Him. God is a refuge for you. Psalm 6:2 Zion 8. When Scripture invites pouring, it assumes vessels brim beyond capacity. Refuge means a place where overflow is not waste but worship, where raw language becomes incense. You picture a journal spread on your lap, blank lines gleaming like fresh snow. Pen in hand, you let ink carry secrets, the unresolved goodbye, the job loss that bruised identity, the diagnosis you still spell as code to soften impact. No need for eloquence. Authenticity is the language of healing. Some sentences grow jagged, others barely whisper, yet all are precious offerings. Heaven reads without red pen, seeing beauty in crossed out phrases revealing journey. As honesty flows, you notice subtle shifts. Shoulders ease lower, breath lengthens, pulse steadies. The room feels larger, as though confining walls moved outward to accommodate expanding soul. You realize truth never burdens nearly as much as concealment. What once felt like weakness shows itself as courage. Because revelation dismantles isolation. You begin to understand that grief voiced becomes grief shared. And shared sorrow finds better footing for transformation. Nature outside mirrors the process. Dew evaporates under rising sun. not vanishing but returning to cycle that nourishes future rain. Likewise, tears lifted heavenward will return as compassion for others. Watering barren terrains of someone else's solitude, you glimpse this potential and smile through moisture still glistening. Even pain can find vocation beyond self, becoming bridge rather than barrier. With heart unmasked, you pause to listen. In the quiet, an inner whisper surfaces. Beloved, nothing about you shocks me. I have held the full story since the first heartbeat. Assurance settles like feather on pond, gentle yet undeniable. You sense invitation to revisit hard places again whenever needed, confident the door to this sanctuary never locks. The practice of candid release can accompany you into busy afternoon. Quick prayers uttered in stairwells, silent laments behind steering wheels, laughter mixed with remembered ache during sunset walks. Finally, you gather tissues, close journal, and wash face with cool water. Reflection in mirror appears softer, eyes clearer, because burdens now rest in hands capacious enough for galaxies. You step away lighter, knowing you may return heavier tomorrow, yet certain that honest release will always usher you back toward wholeness. This is not a one-time purge, but a rhythm, like tides faithfully greeting moonlit shore. You lean toward the hush that lingers after tears, as if the air itself carries a secret syllable meant only for your soul. The room quiets, even the tick of the clock seems to soften, and you sense a murmur weaving through silence like aroma from fresh bread. This is not thunderous prophecy nor flashy sign. It is the low resonance of love speaking straight to hidden fractures. Nothing invasive, nothing forced, just gentle tones loosening knots inside chest and mind. You close eyes and picture lungs as wide meadows, grass bending under dawn breeze. Each inhale gathers cool mercy, each exhale releases residual ache. The voice you detect is nearer than heartbeat, slower than hurry, kinder than self, talk you often endure. Words glide beneath consciousness. Rest, beloved. I mend what time and loss have torn. You notice how spine eases, how jaw unclenches. When you choose to believe that declaration more than yesterday's harsh memory, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3, divine healing is not a distant emergency room. It is a bedside presence stitching invisible seams with patience, turning raw edges into new strength. Guided by that promise, you scan body for tension, shoulder muscles hard as stone, stomach tight from unspoken dread, fists subtly curled. You imagine warm light, gold like sunrise, sliding through veins, softening rigidity into supple resilience. Each cell seems to sigh, remembering it was crafted by hands that only create beauty. Pain may linger, but sharpness dulls, edges round. Room inside grows wider for hope to stretch. Mind drifts to one wound still tender, a betrayal, a goodbye, a medical report. This time you do not shove it away. You hold it like a fragile bird and lift it toward the whisper. A feeling of balm spreads, not erasing history but rewriting meaning. The event no longer defines you, the voice naming you cherished does. Grief starts to convert into wisdom the way fallen leaves enrich soil. Quietly, gradually, inevitably. As healing continues, imagination shows a stream cutting through forest, water clear yet powerful. Stones in its path do not halt flow, they sculpt melody. Your story mirrors that landscape obstacles give contour to compassion, empathy, creativity. You sense permission to dream of future moments where laughter rings, untainted by fear. Even if tears return, they will mingle with joy like rain joins river, no longer threat, simply part of movement toward wholeness. You open window. Soft wind carries scent of jasmine, underscoring truth that all creation participates in your renewal. Birdsong above sounds like chorus echoing lullaby inside. You whisper thanks, faint but sincere, and gratitude amplifies, whisper into gentle song. It dances through memory, promising that scars can gleam like mosaic glass reflecting sunrise. The clock resumes louder tick, but heart remains tuned to softer frequency beneath its beat. You know daily routines will clamor for attention, yet the healing whisper is portable. When emails pile, traffic stalls, or conversation triggers past hurt, you can inhale, recall meadow lungs, and hear familiar words. Rest, beloved. I mend. That sentence becomes portable sanctuary, a pocket-sized cathedral standing wherever you pause. You rise, feel weight distribution different, lighter yet grounded. Steps carry new cadence, not rushing, not dragging, but matching rhythm of mercy you just received. You recognize that some wounds will need repeated tending. That is not failure, but formation. Each return to quiet will deepen channels where peace flows. You commit to listen again tomorrow, trusting that whispers accumulate into chorus strong enough to shape destiny. Morning climbs higher, washing rooftops in apricot light that spills across your face like a quiet benediction. You sense warmth not just on skin, but deep within marrow. An ember stirred by yesterday's lament, today's embrace, and the gentle mending that followed. What once felt like perpetual grey now blushes with colour, and you realize dawn is not merely a backdrop. It is a mirror of inner revival. The ache remains part of your story, yet it no longer owns the narrative. Beneath your ribs, courage beats a steadier tempo, syncing with birds that practice freedom on telephone wires. Hope, once a fragile whisper, now hums through veins with the steadiness of a river finding its course after ice melts. You stand at a window, watching light reveal details previously hidden, tiny veins in leaves, dew threading spider silk, the shy tilt of unopened blooms. These subtle revelations preach a quiet sermon. Transformation rarely shouts, it unfolds in measured increments, building trust with every hue. Your own spirit mirrors that lesson, gathering strength cell by cell until perspective shifts from scarcity to possibility. Thought patterns that used to spiral into dread begin taking gentler turns. When memory threatens to draw curtains closed, you pause, inhale the present, and notice how fresh air resets imagination. You picture obstacles as hills rather than sheer cliffs, climbable with patient steps. Where self-talk once rehearsed failure, you now rehearse promise. New mercies arrive with each sunrise. Endurance is growing. Joy will return in fuller measure. These sentences are not wishful thinking. They are seedlings planted in newly tilled soil, destined to sprout when rain and time agree. With renewed outlook comes invitation to action. Today you may choose one simple deed. Send an encouraging message. Save a breakfast without scrolling news. Greet a neighbor with genuine interest. Such gestures are small lanterns lining the path ahead, illuminating enough distance for the next faithful step. You learn that resilience is woven from dozens of quiet decisions rather than one grand leap. Each choice becomes a brushstroke, adding depth to the portrait grace is painting across your days. External storms may still roll across horizon. Clouds will gather, schedules will crowd, headlines will jolt. Yet inside, barometer reads differently. You have located an interior refuge where peace steadies hands and clears vision. Should thunder threaten, you will return to breath, to meadow, lungs, to whisper that once stitched wounds. You will remember how dawn overcame night without fanfare, simply by being what it is, light. Likewise, hope need not be loud, it must only be true. As sun tilts higher, you step from window and feel ground firm beneath feet, almost humming with opportunity. You gather belongings for the day, but you also gather a quiet promise. The same power that brightens skyline accompanies you into conference room, classroom, kitchen. Every hallway becomes an extension of this sanctuary, every conversation a chance to leak grace. You move forward not as victim of grief, but as steward of renewal, carrying gentle fire that others might warm their hands. You step beyond the threshold of dawn and feel morning stretch like a velvet carpet beneath steady feet, beckoning you to stride into ordinary places with extraordinary glow. The grief once cloaked in shadows has been woven into a garment of quiet resilience, shimmering where torn edges used to fray. You glance at reflection in a window pane and notice subtle brilliance. No spotlight, just a gentle luminosity born of healing work done in hidden hours. Each movement now testifies that scars can refract light, sending prisms into corners that forgot what color felt like. Street sounds rise, rumble of engines, scatter of voices, distant siren, but inner stillness keeps time with another rhythm. You navigate sidewalks, hallways, screens, and schedules like a lantern carried through dusk, illuminating enough ground for companions to find footing. Co-workers sense calm in your greeting. Children catch warmth in your smile. Strangers read kindness in posture. You are not preaching, you are simply present, and presence speaks louder than slogans. Memories of sorrow surface occasionally, yet they arrive softened, wrapped in wisdom. When an elevator mirror flashes the image of a loss you thought abandoned, you pause, breathe, and remember meadow, lungs, safe embrace. Healing whisper. That practiced pause turns potential spiral into prayer for someone nearby who seems distracted by hidden burdens of their own. You become a living reminder that mended hearts can midwife hope for others, translating private deliverance into public compassion. By midday, challenges accumulate, an unexpected criticism, a delay, the sight of an empty chair at a cafe that triggers loneliness. Instead of retreating behind practiced masks, you let honesty guide response. You acknowledge sting, steady breath, then ask for wisdom. Quietly, almost imperceptibly, that earlier whisper hums again between heartbeat and thought. You are still held. Strength rises, not as brash energy, but as rooted resolve. Conversations regain grace, tasks regain purpose, and the day continues without consuming you. As afternoon wanes, sun angles low, gelding mundane objects. A spreadsheet edge, a stack of dishes, a city bus window. You notice beauty hiding in plain sight because sorrow taught your eyes to search for it. Gratitude flickers anew. You utter thanks for small mercies. The aroma of coffee, the laugh shared during a meeting, the soft hum of ceiling fan. Gratitude fuels endurance, turning each commonplace moment into altar. Evening approaches, yet light remains within, pulsing, ready to greet tomorrow. You understand now that radiant walk is not destination but daily discipline, receiving, reflecting, releasing. By carrying silent grief to dawn, you have become a carrier of dawn to a world still waking. Close your eyes and linger in gentle afterglow. Picture golden beams flowing from chest to fingertips, tracing paths you will walk today. Office cubicle, kitchen table, crowded street. Whisper. May every step release comfort. May every glance kindle hope. Recall the arms that hold you, the whisper that mends you, the light that surrounds you. Breathe in possibility, breathe out peace. Let silence deepen this assurance, anchoring heart and mind before you move.